How long does it take you to analyze your business acquisition deals? If you are a serious searcher, you should be going through dozens of deals every day and eliminate the ones that don't work for you and just focus on the ones that may be a decent fit for you. So how long does that process take for you? Especially if you're doing it on the side of your desk, like if you have a W-2 job and you're looking for businesses on the side, you can't be spending all your time in analyzing every deal that's out there on market, right? So you should learn how to do it really quickly. So that's what this back of the envelope calculation is meant to be for, is to allow you to go through hundreds of deals if need be and find the few that may be a decent fit for you, and then you go deep on those few. So how do you do this? I'm going to show you how you would normally analyze a deal using a calculator, and then I'm going to show you how I do it using a back of the envelope fashion so that you can go through hundreds of deals if need be in just about an hour, right? So this is how I do it. I'm going to use biz buy sell listings to demonstrate this, and here I've filtered all the businesses in North Dakota that have cash flow of $750,000, right? So that's what I'm filtering this for. And let's analyze one of these businesses. For example, this one, right? This is a typical SBA size deal. It's under 5 million enterprise value, so, or it's under the SBA limit, right? So now let's see how we would analyze this. So it's got, I'm not even going to go into the listing. I just want to analyze based on these numbers right here. So it's got a cash flow of $800,000 and it's listed for $2 million, right? So how much is free cash flow on this? How much room do you have on this if you were to acquire this, right? So that's what I'm going to show how to calculate. And for this, I use something called a 10BII calculator. It is a financial calculator. It's a great tool to calculate mortgage payments, basically. So if you took out a loan for $2 million, now you may have some down payment here, but let's assume you took out a loan for $2 million. If you did take out the loan for $2 million, how much are your payments going to be for interest and principal, and how much is going to be left over from your cash flow after you do the debt service, right? That's what you want to calculate. So to do that, this is the calculator for that. And there's a lot of things going on here. Don't worry about all of these. You just need to worry about the top row here and also just the white letters in here. Don't worry about the orange ones. So what do these letters mean? The first number here, N, is the number of payments on your loan term. For a typical SBA loan, that's 10-year term. So that's 12 times 10, so that's 120 payments. You type 120 and then you click on this, and then that number gets entered in here. And the second one is interest rate per year. So you can go look at how much the current interest rate is. So let's say it's 8%. You select 8 and then you click on this, that's 8%. And PV is the present value of the loan. So let's say you're going for this loan, that's a $2 million loan, right? So that's $2 million, that's the present value. So, and FV is always going to be 0, that's the final value. After you make out all the payments, FV is the final value, right? So what this calculator does is it allows you to enter any 3 values and find the 4th value, or you're going to always keep the FV 0. So you can enter payment, interest rate, and number of terms, and you can get the current present value. So anyway, in this case, I entered the number of terms, the interest rate, and the present value. So if I click on payment, this is how much the payment is going to be for that $2 million loan at an 8% interest rate of over 120 payment terms. So that's payment $24,000 per month. So now you need to multiply that by 12. That's going to be your yearly payments. So in this case, if you took a $2 million loan at 8% interest rate, you essentially will have to pay around $300,000 in interest and principal. So you'll have $500,000 of free cash flow in this case. right? So that's how you use this calculator. However, you don't want to use a calculator to go through every deal that's out there. It's going to take you forever. So I'm going to show you a back of the envelope way to do this. So the way I do that is I basically assume a 10% interest rate, and you may get an 8% or not. You're more likely going to get something around 10%. So I just assume 10% interest rate. For a 10% loan, your payments on interest is going to be 10%. But if you add principal to it, your payment is going to be about 15%. It's actually a little over 15%. So that's an easy calculation to do. So let's take this example. It's a $2 million loan. 10% of that is $200,000. But 15% will be basically you add another half of that, so that's $300,000. But it's going to be a little over $300,000. So you can say 330, something like that. Let's actually do the calculation here. So that's, again, how many terms? It's 120 terms. I'm going to do that here. And then 10% loan, right? So I'm going to put 10% here. And then present value is $2 million. Calculate the payment is $26,400 per month times 12. It's basically $317,000. That's what we came up to earlier, right? So that's how you can quickly calculate it. So and now I can get rid of the calculator. So this one again is a $2 million of loan. Now you may do a 10% down payment, but I'm just going to calculate the payments based off of $2 million, because if I only took out $1.8 million of loan because I did $200,000 down payment, the payments are only going to be less than that, right? So I'm always going to be conservative in this process. So on a $2 million of loan, the payments are going to be essentially $200K plus another half of that. So that's $300K, a little over $300K. So I have cash flow here of $800K. So essentially I have $500,000 of free cash flow. So that's a good deal. So I'm gonna like it here. This one here is almost $7 million, right? So on a $7 million loan, the payments are going to be $700,000 plus $350. So that's $1,050,000, and a little over that, so let's say $1.1 million. So this one has $600,000 of free cash flow. That's again a pretty good deal. So I'm going to like that. This one right here is a $6 million of loan. So the payments are going to be $600,000 plus another half. So there's $900,000. So a little over 900 is what the payments are going to be. And so given that, there's essentially $700,000 of free cash flow here. That's also a good deal. So of course, in this case, all of these are turning out to be great deals, but that's not going to be the case. I guess North Dakota has good deals, but if you look at other places, you'll see that many of them really will not fit your criteria because they're asking for a very high multiple based on how much SDE the business has currently. So now that you've filtered down to the things that may work for you, you can actually go into the deal and you may find other things that make the deal even better. For example, in this case, this business has $1 million of equipment. So you could perhaps get an equipment loan on a business like this, or sometimes businesses come with real estate. In this case, it's not. This real estate is not included. You can see here. But sometimes businesses come with real estate, so you could do a sale leaseback on that real estate. So now you need to work with your SBA provider that, hey, this is what I'm intending to do. I don't want you to put a collateral on the real estate because I'm going to do this other thing. You will only have a collateral on the business itself, things like that. You need to work through this with your lending provider, but there could be other things that could make the deal even more attractive once you go deeper into it. Now on a deal like this, I like to calculate one other metric, which is cash on cash return. So instead of $6 million loan, let's say you put in 10% down payment, which is more likely than not that you'll have to do. So on a $600,000 down payment, we just calculated that we have about $600,000 in free cash flow, right? So you essentially have 100% cash on cash return because you put in $600,000 in down payment and you're getting $600,000 in free cash flow every year starting year one. So it's 100% cash on cash return, which is amazing. Now let's say you brought in an investor on a deal like this. So they put in the 10% down payment, the 600,000, and in return, you give them 15% equity. So they would get 15% of that 600,000, right, in free cash flow. So essentially for them, it'll be a 15% passive cash-on-cash return. And you are the operator, you keep the rest. You keep the rest of the, whatever, 85% basically. So that still is a great deal for the investor as well. So these type of deals work great to work with an investor on. So that is how you would analyze these deals really quickly using back-of-the-envelope calculations so that you can go through hundreds of these deals and filter down to 10 or 15 that may actually work for you, and then you can do deeper analysis on those.